there, everybody. Welcome to Brainy Marketing. If you'd ever wanted to run ads within LinkedIn because of how awesome the targeting is, but you're scared about how expensive LinkedIn is to run ads, I'm going to show you an awesome tactic, which I call my Robin Hood tactic, where we take the data from LinkedIn, which has the best in the world targeting you can do as a B2B advertiser, and we're going to run it in Facebook. Now, the reason why it's called Robin Hood is because we're going to be storming the castle, the evil sheriff that is Jeff Weiner, hoarding all of this business data. And we're going to go in there and we're going to liberate, and we're going to liberate some of those funds, some of that value, and bring it back to poor old Mark Zuckerberg, who's unfortunately sitting in the forest right now, really stressing out because people are leaving in their droves. And it's time for a revival, I think. So if you are a company that's looking to maybe one day have your own castle like old Jeff, then maybe this is going to be a great tactic for you. So first of all, we're going to go and look at the kind of audience you can build in something like LinkedIn. So for instance, let's take myself. I'm a marketing agency. I want to work with marketing directors, marketing managers at SMEs from 50 to 1,000 people. That's my typical client base. So let's look at my geography. I'm obviously in the United Kingdom. The headcount I've got is here 50 to 1,000. And I've got, obviously I want to speak to senior people like CXOs, directors, managers, owners, partners, VPs, so everyone manager and above. And I want the function to be marketing. I will do a separate video on how to get the best out of this sort of targeting. But for now, just assume that this is all of the marketing people that I would want as clients in the UK. So I want to run ads to them. I want to run to them educational ads about different marketing concepts. And I want to get them with my ebooks that I have, with my video tutorials, just to get them into my funnel, to give me some of their data, to really start building a relationship with these people with quality content. I could be tempted right now to get LinkedIn's ad manager up and start advertising my first ebook or whatever it is to this 47,000 people. But here's where it becomes a bit tricky, right? Let's have a look. This is a company called WebFX who've done a review on what the average cost per click is across different social media channels. So have a look at this. Poor old Zuckerberg in the doldrums with $1 per click. God, he must be hurting. Then you've got Jeff Weiner, quel méchant. Look at this, sitting in his chateau, sipping his cocktails and Mai Tais at $5.26. Boy, oh boy, that's some good advertising revenue for old LinkedIn. Microsoft, well done on that acquisition. Bet you're counting the chips now. And to be honest, fair play to old Jeff. Why is he charging 6 times higher than Facebook? Because you just can't get this kind of level of targeting in Facebook. And the people that want to target the most are B2B companies because their contracts are worth sometimes millions. Some of my contracts, if I land a new client, could be worth £1 million a year. So you better believe that I'm ready to spend big bucks to get a new client. And so that's why the cost per click has gone up. These people are smart. They don't get paid the big bucks for no reason. So that's why we need to find a smarter way of getting this data and put it into Facebook. So we can advertise at $1 per click.
But we can bypass all of Facebook's lazy, useless targeting criteria,
which is very limited.
So how are we going to do that? Well, the easiest way is to get this list out of LinkedIn as email addresses and load them into Facebook and match email addresses with Facebook profiles. And believe me, it's way more simple than that sounds. So bear with me, people. So I'm going to use a tool here called Data Miner. Well, it's Data Scraper, but it's from dataminer.io is the company that produces it. It's a Chrome extension. Please use Chrome and not anything else if you aren't already. Data Miner comes up like this red sort of hammer over here. And basically when you go into Sales Navigator, you click it, there's loads of people who create scripts for all sorts of websites, not just LinkedIn. And it lets you scrape data. So there's a script that is for LinkedIn Sales Navigator search results. So boom, it's going to take all of this information. Now, it's not going to take their email address because this isn't known. This isn't publicly available information. It's going to take their first, last name, their company name. You're then going to use another tool called Email Hunter. You're going to use that tool to find and guess their email address by guessing their first, last name combinations and their company domain name. So suffice to say, I can go from having a list like this and I can get all of that data out into an email CSV file. So check it out. Here we've got my list. This has been taken out of LinkedIn. So I've got the people's first name, their last name, email address, and their country. Okay. Now that Excel list has been extracted. So all this 47,000 people, I ended up finding about 30 odd thousand because you won't find everybody using these scraping tools. So I've ended up finding about 33,000, something like that in this list. And so now what I want to do is I want to advertise to them in Facebook. So how do we do that? Let's strap on our caps with the little feathers in it. Let's get another arrow to our bow and let's start storming that castle, everybody. Let's go to Facebook and let's upload a custom audience. So here it is over here. I'm going to show you exactly how I did it, just so that you can see. Right, so first of all, we want to create a new audience. So once you're creating an ad in Facebook, you obviously set the normal conversion goals, the budget and schedule, your creative, dynamic creative and offer, if you have any, and then you're going to get to the audience part. And this is where Facebook wants you to start defining the audience. Now, the sort of normal, traditional way you would do it is you would look at just kind of location, gender, demographic interest, blah, 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 blah. And that is the very sort of old school way of doing it. This is where we're going to use this list. So you're going to come to this bit called create new audience, custom audience. Okay. So we're going to go create new, custom audience. Now you've got a few options here. Customer list is the one that we want because that's emails, but you can also do stuff like app activity. You can get, if you have a pixel on your website, you can advertise to people that have triggered your pixel. And there's a whole bunch of other Facebook sources from past campaigns you might have run. But in this case, we're just going to upload our email list. Now, there's also another thing with LTV. If you happen to know your customer lifetime value, and I've covered customer lifetime value in my other videos, if you know what a customer is worth to you, so you know that there's, you have A clients, B clients, and C clients, whom all represent different revenue, you could add that as one of the data columns so that when Facebook starts creating lookalike audiences, which we'll get to in a minute, it can actually use that data to prioritize who look more like your ideal clients rather than the less important or less valuable ones to you. This case, we're doing it simple. We don't have LTV. We don't know what each customer is worth to us. We don't have that data to hand. Very not necessary. So now you can prepare a list. So now basically we can now upload our email list. So you can see the kind of data it accepts are email addresses, but also phone numbers. So if you have a CRM with phone numbers, with zip codes, with city, country, region, date of birth, the more of this stuff you have in each record, the more chance there is of Facebook being able to match it to a user on Facebook. In this case, you also have to put the original data source, which is how you gathered this information. Of course, I got this from customers and partners. Wink, wink. But, obviously this is just for them to keep themselves clean from any GDPR issues if any come down in the future, which they never will because nobody can tell how they got advertised to in the first place. So anyway, we're going to add this file. So we're going to upload a file. Here it is, CMOs, marketing directors. Boom, we're going to put it in. Now you're going to see it's going to take Facebook a couple minutes to upload this once I press next, and you can see it's mapped the data perfectly, country, first name, surname, email address. Depending on how your information comes out of the scrapes, you may have to change the header to be the one that Facebook recognizes. For instance, first name it recognizes as FN. So if you have scraped data and you've got your column saying first name, just change that in the column header to FN. So for instance, here where I had FN at the top here, let's go all the way up. So where I had FN and LN, this first said first name, last name, I just changed these so that Facebook would recognize it perfectly. And it has, okay, so we're going to upload and we're going to create it. And it's going to take a few minutes. Sometimes it takes a bit longer than that. And once that's done, you're basically going to have that entire email list. It's going to go ahead and find who on Facebook is able to match. Now, out of this 32,000, these have been uploaded. We estimate that about 20% on average will get found by Facebook. And that's just because very few people use their business level email address to sign up with Facebook. But about 20% have added their email at some point to Facebook, whether when they were downloading something or as a secondary email. So I estimate I'll get about 7,000 matches, which means from tomorrow I can start advertising to 7,000 people that I know are part of my target audience because they were in this list originally, but I'm only paying £1 a click or $1 a click instead of $6 a click. So there we go. Imagine that. Look what we've already been able to achieve. And here is the absolute killer, the sweetener on top of this already cream pie. Create a look-alike audience. So let's say we find 7,000 people on Facebook that match our list. We can then ask 1, 2, 3, 4%. All these percentages mean is find me the 1% of Facebook users that most closely match these people. So it'll take every user on Facebook and find the 1% of them. So out of the 2 billion, it's going to find the 1% that match your initial seed audience. And you can obviously extend it to 2 to 3%. This is typically done for B2C companies where it doesn't have to be too on the nose. But if you're a very niche company, you kind of want to stick it to 1% if using it at all, to be honest. And if you do the 1%, you also want to then layer on top the country. So it's going to find the 1% of people in your country that most closely match your seed custom audience. How amazing is that? Let's just take a quick little second just to realize what we've just done here, everybody. This is killer. Think about this. You've just cut your advertising spend as a niche B2B advertiser by potentially up to 6, just by using this one step. And all that scraping stuff, if you want to keep your nose very clean, you don't have to do any scraping. Of course, if you want to keep yourself completely clean with GDPR, go ahead and do that. But it's worth bearing in mind when you see an ad on Facebook, you have no idea how you were targeted for that ad. Every company is different. Everyone has different risk appetites. Go ahead and look at that yourself. If you're thinking of doing any Facebook or LinkedIn advertising, believe me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many tips and tricks like this to getting the most out of these platforms. Click on the link in the description to this video if you want to schedule a short 30-minute call with me personally to go over what your company is looking to achieve. Other than that, make sure you subscribe to this channel. You'll get all the other latest sneaky, not so sneaky, vanilla, awesome tricks and tips to really grow your agency. And I'm going to try and add a little bit of humor in there in every single one of these videos, because why not? We want to be entertained. Let us entertain you. See you for the next video.